Hello students, welcome to Learner's Planet. In today's session, I'm going to start with a new chapter that is crop production and its management. You know, we all living organisms need food for our survival, right? As this food, it provides us the raw materials for the building up of our body structures and it provides us the energy. And we get the food material from two different sources, that is plants and the animals. Even the plants, they need the basic nutrition for their own development, right? So initially let me explain you what is this food and why we need it, how we need it, and then I will explain that how this food production is done through the plants at a large scale, of course. Food, as I said, is required for the survival. This is because it is a source of nutrients. Nutrients, that is, they are the essential components which are supporting the growth of the living organisms. They are providing the specific components to our body so that the new cells can be produced, so that the body structure can be maintained, and the breakdown of such nutrients can provide us the energy for our daily routine activities, right? So these nutrients, they are of different types. Some are required in less quantity, so they will be known as the micronutrients. And if they are required in more quantity, then they are known as the macronutrients. For example, like vitamins and minerals, they are required in small concentration, right? So they are known as the micronutrients. Whereas products like proteins, carbohydrate, lipids, they are required in more quantities. So they are known as the macronutrients. Now these nutrients, they are required by the plants as well as by the animals, right? But for plants, extra nutrition or a constant supply of food is not necessarily required. And why? It is because they can synthesize their own food. But the animals, they are not having this capacity. They are dependent on the plants or the other animals for their basic food requirement, right? So we obtain our food from the plants or of course from the animals. Now the thing is that if this food is to be supplied from these two sources, then considering the increase in the population, right, a proper supply is required. Initially the production should be increased so as to fulfill the basic needs of each and every individual in this population. And secondly, it is not merely the production which has to be increased, but rather it has to be managed properly, so there is no loss. First thing, and second thing is it is distributed in a proper or equated manner in the among the different individuals, right? So as per syllabus, I will explain you that how this production and its management is maintained through the plants, or we are just concentrating on the crop production, right? So let's see further. You know what this crop exactly means? We can define this crop as the same type of plants which are cultivated at the same piece of land at a large scale through the agricultural practices. So such a large production of the food material from the plants in the same land area is known as the crop production, right? And the product that we are getting, that is known as the crop. Now these crops, they are of different types. Like there are the cereals, vegetables, fruits, oil seeds, right? Or pulses and so on. Now all these resources, they are having or they are rich in different types of nutrients. Now further, these material, they are having different requirement for the for their growth, right? And I can say like the production varies according to the surrounding condition, right? They are affected by the different climatic conditions like temperature, humidity, rainfall, then the sunlight, intensity of the sunlight, duration of the sunlight, right? All these factors affect the growth of the plants. You must be aware of this point because plants, they need water for their growth. From where water is coming? either from the rainfall or from the underground water, isn't it? So in short, these basic conditions, they vary from one plant to the other plant, or the one type of plant to the other type, and depending upon this, that is the season in which they are growing, these crops are classified further. So first of all, they are Kharif and the Rabi. Kharif is a type of crop which is grown in rainy season. That means if we consider our country, that is India, then it is somewhere near about June to September. So during June, there is the sowing period. The seeds are sown in this particular period when there is the onset of rainy season, and then it is allowed to grow further. Whereas rabi crops, they are grown in winter season, right? That means it is somewhere around October to March. Of course, according to our country. Uh, from this, you can imagine that if we are considering this rainy and the winter season, then what type of climatic conditions are there regarding the amount of water, temperature, sunlight, and so on. So you can think of the basic conditions required for the growth of the Kharif crops and the Rabi crops. Kharif crops, some examples are given here like paddy fields, that is rice, maize, soya beans, cotton, etc. All these require more amount of water for their growth, whereas the other examples like wheat, gram, pea, mustard, linseed, all these require they require less water, and of course they are known as the rabi crops. Now I will explain you the steps followed for the crop production, or the agricultural practices that are followed so as to produce the crop. See, the very first step is the preparation of soil, right? That means the soil is managed well enough so that it can support the growth of the crops. After that, after preparing the soil, there is the next step, that is sowing of seeds. Then the next step is the addition of manure and fertilizers, further irrigation, then protection step is taken so as to protect the fields or the crop from the weeds. Right? After that, when the plants are grown well enough, the product is produced properly, then the next step is harvesting, and then the the harvested crop is stored properly. So these are the steps which are followed in the agricultural fields. Now let's discuss about each and every point quite in a detail. So the very first step is the preparation of soil. Basically, this preparation of soil is related to the turning and loosening of soil. Soil is allowed to loosen, and this is done with the help of different types of agricultural tools. Right. Now the point is why this turning up or loosening of soil is required. This is because when the soil is loosened, right, then what will happen? It will allow, the loosened soil will allow the roots to penetrate deep into the soil easily, and the deeper the roots will penetrate, more and more absorption of nutrients is possible, right? Besides this, since the soil is loose, then the roots are able to breathe and absorb properly. Breathe, that means it requires the dissolved oxygen for the survival, which is present in the water present in the spaces between the soil, right? Besides this, it requires the nutrients. So how these nutrients are utilized by the plants? It is by the absorption by the roots, right? Now next thing is even the water is absorbed from the soil only. So if the soil is loosened, the absorption process becomes quite easy, and this is why the loosening is an essential step here. Further, loosened soil is also helping the growth of earthworms and the other microorganisms which are present in the soil. And you must be knowing that these earthworms, they are the friends of the farmer. Even the microbes, they are the farmer's friend, and this is because they help in the turning and loosening of the soil naturally. Second thing, These microbes, they are utilizing the complex material from the soil, and they are excreting out the simplified form of these materials, and thus they are enriching the soil with the nutrients. Same is true for the earthworms. Earthworm, they are eating up the organic matter or the soil, and they are turning it into the simplified form inside their digestive system or the alimentary canal, and then they are excreting out the waste material, which is rich in the nutrients required for the growth of the plants. Further, when these earthworms or these organisms die, then what will happen? These dead and decayed material, they are decomposed over there, and this material is adding to the humus, and the more the amount of humus in the soil, better growth of the plants is observed. Besides this, when the turning or this loosening step is performed, you know what happens? The nutrients which are present in the deep layers of the soil, they are exposed to the topsoil. So even at the shallow range, the roots are able to absorb the nutrients from the soil. So this is why this turning step is very, very important. Now, as I said that crop production is a method, or it is a process which is done at a large scale, right? So this turning, how it is done, that is the point now. Simply doing it with the hands is not very easy. It's not very feasible method. So how this loosening or the turning step is performed? For this, there are different processes and different implements which are used. Let's see what are they. See, the process of this loosening and turning of the soil is known as tilling or ploughing, right? And this is done with the help of plough, hoe, cultivator, and leveler. These first three implements, they are basically helping in the turning up of the soil, and then later leveler is used so as to maintain the uniformity in the cultural land. Let me explain what are these implements. Well, this implement, that is plough, it is made up of either wood or it is completely made up of iron. It is generally drawn by the pair of bulls or other animals, and nowadays even it is the tractors are used so as to pull the plough. Right. It contains a strong triangular iron strip which is known as the plowshare. Right, and the long strip is present there, which is made up of a log of wood. Right, and it is known as the plough shaft. Besides this, there is a handle at one end of the shaft so as to pull it, and the other end is attached to a beam which is placed on the bull's neck. A pair of bulls and a man, or a single person, can easily operate this particular instrument. So I hope you can imagine the picture that what exactly it is. Besides this, the other structure or implement used is the hoe. Well, this hoe is a simple tool which is used for the removal of the weeds and for the loosening of the soil. It is operated or by the I mean it is pulled by the animals, and it works like a blade actually, right? Besides this, the next instrument is cultivator, which is actually driven by the tractors. It saves a lot of time and the labor also, and it is made up of a long rod of iron or the wood, and there is a strong broad and bent plate which is fixed to one of its end, and it works like a blade. Of course, it can also be driven by the animals. So basically the purpose of these instruments is to loosen the soil. If the weeds or any other unwanted material or plants are present in the land, they are cut down by such type of instruments. Even the ploughing is concentrating on the softening or the loosening of the soil. Now, generally, even it is observed that at this step itself, sometimes the manure or the fertilizers are added, so that they get mixed up with the soil uniformly, and they enrich the soil with the extra nutrients. nutrients which are essentially required for the growth of the plants. You know what exactly these manures and the fertilizers are? Manure, it is an organic substance which is prepared by the decomposition of the organic waste in the open area. The waste is collected and is allowed to collect in particular dig pits or in the open area, and then they are exposed to the natural conditions so that the microorganisms and the natural climatic conditions can decompose or oxidize this waste, and they can convert it into the simplified form. So they contain this organic material as well as some amount of the minerals. So when manure is added in the soil during plowing, of course it is enriching the soil with the nutrients. On the other hand, the fertilizers are also used. Fertilizers, they are the commercially prepared chemicals. These prepared chemicals, they are having the specific nutrients which are required for the growth of the plants. So this process, that means addition of this manure or the fertilizers to the soil so as to replenish it with the nutrients, is known as manuring. Now, of course, there are some advantages of manure as well as of the fertilizers, and the disadvantages. And considering those points, manure is actually selected at a large scale. You know why is this so? Let me just tell you the important advantages of the manure. So some of the advantages, the first one is that it is serving as the source of nutrients. It is comprised of organic material. That means it is a source of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Right. Besides this, they are rich in the minerals. Although the specific one is not present, but in general they are having different types of nutrients or different types of minerals. Now, since it is having a high concentration of organic compounds, so it is used in the bulk, right? And since it is added in the bulk amount, so it actually it helps in maintaining the soil structure. Besides this, when it is added in the soil, it increases the water holding capacity in the sandy soil. You know, sandy soil is much more porous, right? And water retention is quite difficult over there. So this holding capacity increases when the manure is added in the sandy soil. Not only this much, even it prevents the water drainage in the clay soil. So besides this, it is also improving the action of soil organisms, and thus it improves the soil quality. How does it improve the action of soil organism? This is because they are supplying organic compounds, more organic compounds in the soil. And these organic compounds, they can serve as a source of nutrition for these soil microorganisms, even for the worms also. So this is how they are naturally digesting it and converting it into the simplified form, which can be easily absorbed by the plants. So these are the important advantages. Now the disadvantage of this is that first of all, it is required in more amount, so its transportation is quite difficult, its supply, its addition is quite difficult. Secondly, it is not supplying the specific nutrient according to the type of plant. Rather, it is supplying the nutrients in general. Otherwise, another important point is it is eco-friendly. It does not cause the pollution. So, because of all these reasons, manures are preferred. If I consider the fertilizers, then fertilizers are the chemical compounds, right? And they are causing the this pollution also. Besides, they are required. If they are they are required in small quantity, that's the advantage. But the timing should be proper. It should be properly supplied at the right time so that it is absorbed by the plants quite easily or rapidly, and the irrigation is not just removing out the excess of the fertilizers. So overall situation is that the manure is the best thing so as to use in the agricultural fields. Now, after enriching the soil with the nutrients and turning it and loosening it, the next step should be the addition of the or the sowing of the seeds. I should add one point here, that this step manuring, it is sometimes done along with the ploughing, or it is sometimes done after the sowing step. So overall thing is ki it is performed so as to increase the soil quality and to supply the nutrients. So students, now let's discuss about the sowing. This step, sowing, is the most important step. You know why? See, the sowing is a process in which the seeds are actually placed at a correct position in the soil, in the loosened soil, right, and is covered up with the soil further. Now the point is that it is very important step because the product quality and the product yield, they both depend upon the type of seeds which are sown into the soil. So initially before sowing, the good quality seeds are required to be selected. So this step is really very important. Now you understand that why this is so. Now which type of seeds are said to be having a good quality? Generally, these good quality seeds are clean and the healthy ones. That means they are free of any disease. Besides that, they should be of good variety. Variety, that means the favorable quality or the feature that we want in the product. That type of seeds are to be selected prior to its sowing, right? So so let me tell you that how this selection is actually done. See, for this purpose, if you want to try that how we can say that which quality is good, so for that we have to take a beaker or a glass or a jar, anything you can take, a container, and fill it half with water, right? And then just place a handful of wheat seeds or the one that you want to sow in the soil, right? And after that, stir it well. Now, after a while, you will observe that the damaged seeds, they are basically hollow, right? So they are having light weight, so they will start floating on the water. Whereas the one which is having good condition, which is not damaged and is solid inside, they tend to sink at the bottom. So the ones which are present at the surface, they are not of good quality. They should not be sown in the soil. Now you should select these sunken seeds and for the purpose of the sowing. Now of course this process is done at the large scale in different ways, and then the selected heavier seeds are sown properly in the soil, and this is done by the in two ways. I'm sorry. That is one is the traditional tool, and second is by using the seed drills. So let's see what this means. So in the traditional tool, there is a funnel-like structure or funnel-like tool which is having two or three pipes and the sharp ends, right? So in this case, what happens? The seeds are filled in the funnel and they are then passed down into the soil. They are having attached two or three pipes which are having the piercing or the sharp ends. So as this funnel is moved over the soil, then what happens? These sharp ends, they pierce into the soil, and and during this time the seeds are placed at a particular position. So this is one way for the placing the seeds at the right position. The another one is the seed drill. Now seed drill, in this case, it is done with the help of the tractors. When it is done with the seed drill, it actually allows the uniform distribution or the uniform sowing of the cell. That means seeds are positioned or they are sown at a proper distance and a proper depth. Sidewise, as they are moving forward, the seeds, they get covered with the soil, and this covering of the seeds with the soil actually prevents its damage, which is usually caused by the birds. Of course, sowing by using the seed drill saves a lot of time and the labor. And when this proper positioning and the appropriate distance is maintained, then it also reduces the competition between the different seeds for their basic requirements. That is like sufficient sunlight is provided to all these seeds. Besides the nutrient absorption, the area is present from where they can absorb their own material, and same is true for the water also. So this appropriate distance which is maintained here is actually helping in the increase in the crop production. Now you know that these seeds are sufficiently getting the nutrients from the soil. Now the thing is, after the sowing step, these seeds they tend to germinate, right? That means the shoot and the root parts are emerging out from these little seeds. Now the thing is, they also require water. So now after this, the next step is the timely supply of water. And this step or this process of supply of water in the fields is known as the irrigation. So further, we are going to study that what this irrigation means and how it is done. So this we are going to continue in the next session. Till then, thank you so much. Have a nice day. Goodbye.